Hey guys, Nox here, and today we're going to be doing Escape from Tarkov, a very, very, very beginner guide. We're going to be breaking it down Barney style for y'all, just because this game is one of those amazing, amazing games. I've been playing like a month and a half. Uh, game just got big a little bit after I started playing. For whatever reason, Twitch drops and all that brought a lot of players to this game. Uh, this is one of those games that it's still in beta testing, but they have not given new players a lot to work with here in regards to like a tutorial or how to play the game. They've uh they've made it really difficult to start up, even for expert players or veteran players. The game is still very difficult in a lot of situations. But we're gonna break this down Barney style for players that maybe are just starting out. Try and give them some information that maybe didn't come to them from a friend or something like that. Anyways, let's get right into it. So I'm gonna start off with the scav here. Try not to go too much into it, but a scav is a character that every 20 minutes, if you do not have the hideout upgrade, or every 16 minutes, if you do have the hideout upgrade, you can go in with a random loadout generated by the game, uh, and essentially you don't pay for anything. You get this random loadout, and you collect items in the game. You just scavenge. You're a scavenger when you're playing this. You can kill other players and take their stuff. Whatever you bring out of the raid and whatever you extract comes back to you. Sometimes scavs will spawn with amazing items like key cards. Um, those sell for like 180, 190k. Pretty much go instantly as well. They'll come back to you with 180k instantly. So if you have a key card, a lot of the times players will just run to the extraction to save that and just get the 180k and call it a day. Amazing to just keep doing your scav every time it's off cooldown. Every time you can do a scav, do a scav. It's going to get you a lot of money, especially when you're starting out, um, as long as you can extract. And you paid nothing going into the raid. So that's the other, the beauty of it. Uh, the only quests in this game, that they call them tasks, the only tasks in this game you can complete as a scav are the ones that say find an item in the raid. So like if you need to find shotguns in raid or whatever, you can find them on your scav or your PMC and it'll count towards the quest. So very important for later quests that are going to have you find like ultra rare items. You can find them on both your PMC and your scav. And sometimes you might spawn in your scav will spawn into the game with the item you need, and then you could just extract. Always important to do your scav. Another thing to note about playing your scav is that other NPC scavs will not shoot you unless you've shot another scav. Player scavs can still shoot you, and a lot of them will, and PMCs will always shoot you. Going into the PMC, this is your main story character. That's, as you can see, your main character under here. Um, this character is the one that when you play, uh, you can complete any task. Okay, everything counts towards your PMC. Whenever you play your PMC, you're also leveling up skills. So strength or hearing, tactical walking, covert walking, things like that. There's a bunch of skills in this game. Whenever you're playing your PMC, all your experience, all your tasks, everything counts. When you're playing your scav, nothing counts. You'll get experience at the end of the game when you play a scav. That does not count for anything. It doesn't add anything to your PMC. Anyways, PMC is what you have to gear out yourself. So whatever you put on your character when we go to that next screen called character, all of this is towards your PMC. So, going into this, I mean, as you can see, there's, kind of a lot of stuff here. You get 2 weapon slots. Usually I only bring one And if I'm bringing like a, a long range, like a sniper, I'll bring, a secondary, just like a pistol, sidearm kind of thing. Uh, you get body armor, you get a helmet, you can get just like a little, typically a face cover is just a cosmetic item. So is eyewear. And then you could get headphones, uh, tactical rig, pockets, backpack, and a pouch. I'm going to go into this pouch real quick first. Very important. Anything, when you die, you're going to lose everything. Okay, you're going to come out of your PMC raid after you die, and you're going to have none of this. But everything in this pouch right here, you will still have. Okay, so very important to put very valuable items in here. Let's say you find a good key that you think will sell a lot, you put it in your pouch, your alpha container. Those with the Edge of Darkness edition, which a lot of people have, they have a 3x3. This is only a 2x2, so they have a lot more space to work with here. That being said, we're going to move up to the backpack. So backpack, I would say, is the place where you're going to put anything you're not going to need to use in the raid, or something like food or drink in this situation, where when you're using that item, typically you're going to be able to like stop in a covered position and open up your inventory here and use that. That's fine. Anything you find in the raid that you're not going to use in the raid, put it in your backpack. I say this because so let's say if I put my magazine into my backpack, my gun will not reload when I push R to reload. It will not grab this magazine because it's in my backpack. It has to be in my pockets or my tactical rig. So it's kind of like real life situation because your character's not going to jump in the back of his backpack immediately. You have to open up your inventory and do all that to actually reload it. But anyways, another thing is items like pretty much anything like that's a consumable. So health, splints, grenades, things like that. You can put on you can hotkey it and put it on this little toolbar right here by simply scrolling over it and pushing a number. So like 5. So now if I push 5 in raid, it'll use this splint if I have a fracture. 4, it'll start healing me with this IFAK right here. Grenades, you can also do this as well. I would say if you're bringing fragmentation grenades and you're bringing flashbang grenades, or stun grenades they call them, I would make the stun grenades like a hotkey, and I would leave the fragmentation grenades all the way to the left. So when you push G, that's your hotkey essentially to throw a grenade. It's gonna grab the first grenade that's on the leftmost of your pockets, right? So you could just use your fragmentation grenades, put them all the way to the left, and then if you have, the stun grenades, put them all the way on the right, or put them randomly in your rig, and then you could just use the hotkey, like let's say I put it at 6. If I push 6, it'll pull out my stun grenade. If I push G, it's gonna throw my fragmentation grenade. So that's like a quick little tip right there. This stash, I've only upgraded it with once in the hideout. It's pretty big. If you have Edge of Darkness edition, you have the full stash, like the 100% complete. It's massive stash. I mean, but anyways, when you're playing without a Edge of Darkness, you use I mean, even with Edge of Darkness, you're gonna use these boxes right here, these cases. This junk box, they give you a lot of inventory space, and that's what this game's about as a shooter looter, is you're just collecting a lot of items all the time. And so these, effectively increase your stash size by a lot. Another thing to note to increase your stash size is that, backpacks, we call it nesting. You can nest backpack into infinity, and this will increase your space a lot. So I mean that's what you should be doing, is you should be nesting backpacks to save space. I would say never ever put something in a backpack and then just keep it, like separate from your nested backpacks. Always nest them. Outside of that, it's pretty much all with the stash and everything. Just collect cases. You know, I have a thick weapons case here, so I have a lot of weapons in here. These are just the overflow. I have a lot of junk in here. I need to do some inventory management. This is like the game inside of the game, right? Is Tetris is what a lot of people are, you know, terming it, but inventory management is what I need to do. Let's go on to the next thing over here. So in a raid, when you push tab, all of these tabs are gonna, you know, pop up. Your gear, your health. So, quick note about health. If you have a blackout, which means there's 0 health, let's say on my left arm, and you have a bleed anywhere, so you're bleeding out from, let's say, your thorax, you need to heal, or sorry, you need to bandage the bleed, which this IFAK will count as a bandage and heal. You need to bandage the bleed before you use your CMS kit to fix the blackout, because the CMS kit's going to put your blacked out, you know, body part at 1 health, and then you're going to bleed, which takes 1 health from it, and it's just going to be blacked out again. So that's just like a quick tip that's messed me up a couple of times. I'm sure it's messed everybody up at some point. Another quick tip is that if you would say you're missing 10 health from your arm, 10 health from your right leg, and then 10 health from your head, but then you're missing 50 health from your stomach, I would heal the stomach first, right? Because that's missing the most health, and that'll regenerate the most health in this 3-second downtime that you have to use the item. So for 3 seconds, I'll get 50 health back in my stomach as opposed to 10 health back in my leg or whatever. Obviously, you're going to want to heal everything up as much as possible. So if you're in, you know, a very hidden spot, then yeah, heal everything. But you always want to heal the lowest health body part first, because that's going to give you the most health for the 3-second time that you're using this item. Outside of that, we have your health right here. So in raid and out of raid, it's going to show, you know, whatever it is out of 435. So if you took damage, it's going to be 435. Or if you took no damage, it's going to be 435 out of 435. Going down here, very important. These will kill you if they go to 0. Your hydration and your energy. I would go in to every raid as a PMC with 100, just full energy, full hydration. Just don't risk dying, you know, by going in with like 50-50 or whatever. But, you know, you could drink liquids like this pineapple juice, you know, it'll give me 30 hydration and 8 energy. I mean, always good to make sure you're topped off on those, because you will die if they go to 0 relatively quick. Outside of that, always bring food and water, or, you know, some type of, you know, provision into a raid, because there's a chance your stomach could get shot out, and if your stomach's blacked out, not only are you going to be coughing the whole rest of the raid if you don't CMS it, but you're also going to be losing fluids and food very quickly. I mean, outside of that, I mean, we're going to move on to the skills. So skills, I'm not going to go too in-depth into this, but by playing your PMC, you're going to increase these skills just by simply playing. So like, you get, for doing random stuff, you know, you're going to get your metabolism by eating and drinking. You're going to increase that level. Just by playing maps, you're going to, you know, get your memory skill up. And all of these, I'm not going to go into the tool tips or anything, but you can read those while you're in game. But these all play a part, and a lot of them are required to level up your hideout. So always play your PMC. These will increase over time, and they're needed. Like strength level 3 I just got, this is needed to upgrade one of the hideout things, so I can upgrade all the other hideout things. So essentially a time gate is leveling up your skills. We could go into weapon mastering. I mean, essentially when you're playing with, let's say, Colt M4A1, this will level up your Colt M4A1 mastering, and you know, it's just something else they added. I don't know if it actually does anything, but we'll move on from that. Going into maps, I suggest never using or buying a map in game. I suggest always, if you have a second monitor or an iPad, I would use a second monitor if I had one, but I don't. I would pull up a map from a website. There's websites with like multiple different maps for a certain map. So like Shoreline would say, you can find a website. There's like a website I use that has 5 maps. You can have a 2D version, a 3D version, detailed loot, so it shows all the little loot stashes on the map. There's ones that show like all the quest items on the map, all the extraction points on the map, all the player spawns on the map. You always need to have a map open, especially if you're a new player and you don't know the map like the back of your hand. Always need to have a map open, preferably on a second monitor or an iPad. I use an iPad. That being said, 2 most important things in this game: know where your extractions are, so find them on the map if you don't know them off the top of your head. Also, you need to know player spawns. So, when you start up in a game, you know where all the other PMCs are going to be, so you know where to look, because they're probably going to be sprinting in a direction, and you don't want to run right into them without knowing where they spawned. You want to know where they spawned so you know to keep your head on a swivel type thing. Going into tasks, I'm going to go quick into this. First things first, because it's the most, well, it's kind of important, but it's something I didn't really figure out for a while. Over here in these stash areas, so it says quest items in inventory in raid and off raid. When you pick up an item in raid, like let's say the bronze pocket watch is one of the first quests, you're going to put that item, or it's going to go in here. When you extract, if you extract, it's still going to be in here. So if you go into another raid and you don't turn that quest in, you're going to die and it's going to be in your in-raid inventory, and then you're going to lose that item. If you drag it when you're outside of raid into your off raid, and you die, you're not going to lose it. It's in your off raid stash. So that was something that's kind of interesting they added. I would just turn the item in, but there's some that you can, you might not be able to. So you'd put it in your off raid stash until you're ready to go, get that quest done. Outside of that, it shows, who gave you the quest or the task, what the task name is, where you can do it. So like, let's say, this one shows I could do it in interchange, and I have to kill 25 scavs in interchange. So I mean, this is kind of cool. The only thing I have a problem with is that it only shows one part of each task. So like, for instance, the Punisher Part 4, it shows this part of the task that I've already completed. However, when I go to look at that task, it actually has 4 parts, and I still need 1 part. It's a beta, so I assume that's just what it is it's not showing the 1 part I actually need to complete in that tab because it's a beta. But that's that's something that they'll probably fix. I wish they would just show all the parts, like maybe a drop down or something like this, but it'd show it like in an easier, like where you could actually look at it right here, maybe like just small dots. I don't know, something like that. Going into trading, you have all these traders. They sell a bunch of different things. I'm not really going to go too much into what they sell individually, but they each give tasks over here. So always collect all your tasks. I could collect it right here. You just click accept, and then it'll show all the the actual things you have to do for that task under here. You could sell things to each trader. I would say before you sell something to a trader, always look at how much they're going to buy it from you for. So like Prapper will buy my weapon for 50.7k here, and then Mechanic will buy it for more. So I'm making more money, right? Their loadouts, so like what they sell you changes, not everything, but some things will change on a timer. That's what this timer's for. So you might be able to buy something else from Prapper in 16.5 minutes. Going over here to the top right, another important spot, they call it attitude. So your attitude towards Prapper, these are essentially the requirements to hit your next loyalty level or reputation level. So I need to be level 25 to to go to loyalty level 4 with Proper, which is the max level. Outside of that, uh, this is like the reputation you get. So like I have 0.97, so I'm well above the requirement for loyalty level 4, which is 0.5. And then, you know, this, it says rubles, 2.8 mil spent. So what that means is I need to buy or sell. Right here it says 2.3 is the requirement. So I need to sell or buy 2.3 million worth of rubles from Prapor, and then that'll be met. Outside of that, I mean, that's really all that I have to say about the traders. These are used all the time. Veteran players use them as well because the higher loyalty ranks you get them to, the more stuff they'll sell you. And a lot of the times, these high level, like level 3, level 4 loyalty level traders, they'll sell you really good items. And people that have those like level 4 loyalty levels will buy those items and sell them for a super high markup on the flea market. When you hit level 5, you unlock the flea market. Flea market is amazing. Once you hit level 5, I mean, you will literally, the game will change for you. You'll be playing like, you know, Russian arms dealer at that point. You'll be just, you know, people spend hours on here just flipping items because, you know, they're just undercutting people. They're buying really cheap stuff from somebody that undercut by 10k, and then they'll, you know, they'll resell it for just, you know, 1 ruble short of the next guy. They'll make a lot of money doing this. Another thing to note about the flea market, this filter is your best friend. When you notice like a lot of red things are popping up that you can't purchase, this is what you need to do. This is something that everybody will search for eventually on a YouTube video. You need to put condition from 1. It'll say 0. If I push 0, it's going to show, and it just really depends on what you're looking up, but it'll show like a lot of red that I can't buy. It's not doing it, of course, right now. But anyways, you want to push 1. Once you have that 1, it'll actually show everything that's purchasable, because some of them will not be purchasable if it says 0. I mean, this is what I typically use. Remove bartering offers, you know, show only functional items. Remember selected filter, of course. Outside of that, the flea market is something that, you know, probably deserves its own video, so I'm not going to go too much into it. Just know that it is very very lucrative if you're, you know, flipping, but you'll also make a lot more money typically when you're selling, you know, anything. You'll make a lot more money on the flea market than you will from traders most of the time. There are some instances where you'll make more money from traders, like for instance dog tags is a simple one. If the dog tag's a high level dog tag, it'll sell for a lot more to the therapist than it will on the flea market. Outside of that, the hideout is something they recently added to the game. It's very cool. It actually has a lot of utility. Like you can make stuff. My hideout's not, you know, max level, of course, but you can make different items. Like, let's go to the nutrition unit. I could turn. It's essentially bartering, right? So I turn in, you know, these 2 items, and then in an hour and 21 minutes, it'll craft 3 condensed milk. So I mean. Alright, and you know, you could use these for bartering or selling, or, you know, if you want to use them in raid or you need them for a quest. The other thing is, in this case, for the nutrition unit, they'll increase your regeneration rate of your energy and your health. Okay, so like, you'll get 32 HP an hour and 18 energy points per hour. You know, or sorry, yeah, per hour, as opposed to what I have. So I'll get 32 more HP and 18 more HP an hour than I already have right now. So that increases essentially your PMC's ability to regenerate faster. You know, it increases that by a lot. So you always want to max these out as soon as you can. I would say the most important one probably being your stash, but it's also very expensive. So I mean, like 8.5 million, you have to get, you know, loyalty levels. You have to turn in some items. But I mean, it's usually a very expensive one to do. But a lot of these have requirements for like leveling up. So let's go to like the water collector. Like I have to get, you know, attention to level 3, and then I also have to get loyalty levels. So it requires a lot to upgrade the hideout. But it's something cool that they added that not only boosts your character's like, you know, regeneration rate, but also boosts like your money making capability. Another thing to note is that anything you create here in the hideout is considered found in raid. So quest items you need to find in raid, you can create here, and it'll count as in raid. So if I need wires from in raid, this will count. So it's pretty cool. Outside of that, you know, I really like the music in this game. That's why I left it on in the background. But that's really all you need to know in regards to the starting screen. Let's just look as a scav when we go next. We're going to go next and we're going to look at all these maps. So scavs cannot enter the lab, and then the suburbs and streets of Tarkov aren't out yet, but we can enter any other map. Let's say we want to go to factory. So once we click factory, the map we want, whatever it is, there's going to be 2 times. You're going to pick, you know, daytime or nighttime, whatever it is, and it'll show you the weather conditions. You're going to select that. You're going to click next. If you click ready, which I would say don't do, especially when you're newer, ready is going to instantly like put you in the queue to start the game. No map. This screen doesn't really matter. Like I said, you should have the map up on your second monitor or your iPad. And then you're going to go into this screen. So you could click start looking for a group. I would say don't. I've never grouped with somebody I don't know. I've heard, you know, bad things about players joining a group with a pug, or, you know, a player that they just invited to their group or whatever, and they were killed by that player because maybe they had better loot than them, or they wanted to troll them, or whatever the case may be. I would say find somebody, like a friend or something, to play with. I wouldn't recommend, you know, playing with a random player, especially if you don't have like, you know, Discord or TeamSpeak or something you're using. I would not play with a random player without, you know, communication via voice. Outside of that, I mean, yeah, scavs can group up with 4 friendlies. Like your max group size can be 4. PMC's max group size can be 5. Yeah, I'd spawn in with my random loadout at a random time in the map, and we'd go from there. As a PMC, when you spawn in, you will always spawn in. I don't want to say always, because sometimes it hasn't happened, and maybe that's because beta. But you usually start in at the start of the map. So let's say in customs, I believe it's 35 minutes. As a scav, if I spawn in, like if I click ready right here and it spawns me in, I might spawn in at 32 minutes. I might spawn in with 10 minutes left. You know, so it's just random when you spawn in as a scav. Outside of that, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's the one big thing I could tell new players in this game is if you want to learn the maps and stuff, maybe you want to practice with your weapon, you can go into, as a PMC, go into any map, pick a time, and you can go into offline mode. So enable offline mode for this raid. As you see right here, your progress is not being saved due to being in offline mode. Also at this current stage in testing, so that doesn't really matter. But anyways, anything you do in offline mode doesn't count. So the ammo you shoot doesn't count. If you die, it doesn't count. You're going to come back with all your stuff. If you find a bunch of stuff and then extract, you're not going to keep it. So you could go in here in offline mode and practice your weapon skills, test out guns, do anything. And it's not going to count for anything, but it's a good way to learn the map, learn your weapon maybe, learn how to fight, maybe avoid scavs. Because you can enable random weather conditions, random time. You can enable PvE, which means like you can add scavs to the map, and then you could put them as like, you know, impossible, or, you know, you could just test your skills out against scavs, and then you could put like horde or high, like a lot of scavs will spawn. Um, Outside of that, I mean, you could put bosses, scav wars, like they'll fight each other. They've really added a lot of cool stuff that allows you to practice, not going in there, you know, like just not knowing what you're doing. Like they give you a lot of option in that regards, like practicing. I would recommend, if you've never played a map before, you need to do multiple offline raids, figure out where the extracts are, learn your way around the map, and then maybe go in as a scav. And then, I mean, you could go in as a scav on cooldown, but between cooldowns, going offline if you're, you know, still not sure about it, maybe you're a little uneasy about losing some gear in there. Um, I mean, yeah, just utilize offline. There's also a shooting range in the hideout. You can utilize that as well for, you know, just testing weapons. The ammo you shoot in there does not count against you, which means yes, you could go shoot the rounds in there that you have equipped. However, it won't actually use any of your rounds. I'm gonna wrap it up there. Thank you all for watching. If you learned anything, you know, or maybe you want to see another video similar to this, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Drop a comment down below though, you know, if you have any ideas or maybe you want to see, you know, something in a video, and I'll take it into consideration and we'll go from there. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.